Hey, this is Rick again, and we're here where I am programming more Wordle. I see the finish line, I really do. One big thing I've set out for myself is to at least make a model. We're moving forward with MVC, and I think we got a good spot with the views. But I did want to review very briefly this post that I found here on the Swift forums regarding Swift protocols versus Java interfaces. This reply by Alexander, what did it say? Momkilov. He talks about the differences between Swift protocol and Java interfaces. Well, one of the things that he mentions is this blog post on protocols by this site called Cocoaphony. And I think, does this click to somebody? Yeah, let me go to this. Maybe I can find the actual name. So I went to this blog post, and very insightful and very helpful. Let's see this appear. Rob Napier. So he wrote this blog post called "Start with a Protocol," he said, and he points to a presentation done at WWDC, the Apple event, and he talks about what's going on with protocols, and he breaks it down. I really liked this blog post. Again, this was referenced off of this forum here, Eric's. This quote, "Write concrete code first, then work out the generics," is what we did in this Wordle game. We wrote some concrete code for the line mode view. Then we wrote some concrete code for the curses mode. And then we spent time thinking about what is common between those two pieces, and that's a great way of thinking about generics and protocols. It's a bit high-minded, these kinds of things, but what I liked about his post here, and I read maybe half of it because it got deep very quickly, and it's hard to understand without having gone through a lot of the experiences he has. But the first half of it, where he talks about starting with concrete things and figuring out what's common or what's generic resonated with me, because that's what we did for the Wordle game. We programmed two views. We realized, or I sort of contrived them to have the same signature. They both views have a draw, both views have an update guess row or a draw update, I think, and they both have a prompt mode. So they have commonalities, but we programmed them as concrete classes first, and then we figured out the generics. Then we figured out what language construct can we use to unite them in our application, which is using MVC, and for that generics is generics, and for that protocol is a perfectly fine answer. I actually think we could have gone with the base class approach, which I did in 32B, but that said, I really like this. And what's the other thing, he doesn't say this, but the other thing that I think is intriguing is when you're learning a new computer language, like I am here with Swift, I think it's easy to get excited about all the nifty features that the language has, and just to try to start using them. I know I thought that early in my career with regards to different languages and different techniques in those languages. I wanting to apply those new techniques everywhere I went. But this blog post says keep it simple and then bring in the advanced techniques later. It really works for me. Other things that when reading this post, he says you should really know a lot about generics, which is, or I've seen this certainly in Java, so and also in TypeScript, which is the strongly typed layer on top of Node.js. So this is an intriguing area that protocols use, but we're not using in our application. The other thing that was interesting was nifty things that make using a protocol easier. Again, these are all new and exciting techniques, but unless you're an experienced unless you're an experienced maybe like Objective-C programmer, the language that came before Swift, some of these ideas may be a little over, maybe a little advanced, but I like his suggestion. Just don't worry about doing generics first. You could really paint yourself into a corner. Make concrete classes, and then later on, when you're finding yourself doing a lot of copy and pasting, then you can bring in generics. And really good advice. And yeah. So that was that. I'll remember to put a link to this here. It is worth reading, at least the first half of it, and we're using it in a very, very lightweight manner. Here we have a game that is declared as a type, which is gameView, but it's not really a type, it's a protocol. So the variable game can hold any type that happens to fulfill the contract in the protocol. It's not a type per se. And it's an intriguing little detail. I don't want to think too deeply about it, but it's an intriguing detail. I'm not going to be on too long. And what I'll do is really fuss around with these to-dos. Then we're going to add this command line business. I got to look that up again. And then we got to go and start the beginnings of the model. So these to-dos, if I do Apple 4, I should be able to find all my to-dos if I match the case. And not a lot. They're all in this file. So there's this AEIOU and the fancy message. So really the only one that we need to address is this. We're not gonna make AEIOU the backdoor. I like -99, and so we're gonna consider that over with. And also this repeat while. This is the responsibility of the controller to get input from the user. How does it do that? It needs to communicate with the view. The view is the one that presents the controls to get the input. So, like it or not, this is the best way to do it. This could be flattened a bit, I think. We can really hide a lot of these details in the controller, but and making it a function, I guess, is one way to do that. But but for now, we're not going to deal with that. Or for now, we're going to just accept that this is the controller and this is the loop that it has to have to get input. Finally, the fancy message, we're going to have to put that into the model. So that's what we're going to leave in place for now. That's the last of the to-dos. So I am going to commit this change, which is just removing some to-dos. Then that will put us into here. Consider renaming the game variable. Now, I didn't put this in the to-do on screen the last time I was on. It was something I was thinking about at some point today. I thought I looked at this variable game and I said, that's a little confusing. It's really a game view. That's what it is. That's the type that it wants to be. That's the protocol that it needs to fulfill. So let's just call it that, game view. This way it makes a little more sense. So here, game draw, what does that mean? For a game to draw itself. But for a game view, that makes more sense. So I think to do that, I think I can do this, refactor and rename to be game view. I don't know what it's doing. Let me make sure. Let me try it one more time. Refactor, rename, pay attention to the UI. Wow, that's pretty cool, don't you think? That's Xcode doing that for us. So now I can say game view using camel case. And then I press enter. Now I have game view. That's pretty good. I save that, I'll do a quick run with a puzzle word, taser. What we'll also do, I've also started to think about the problem of figuring out which word to play. Remember, we bring in all the words into a set from the dictionary, and we grab a random word, but the real Wordle plays one word at a time. So I'm starting to come up with some ideas to calculate the correct word to play on any particular day. Maybe we'll have an algorithm that takes the month, day, year and calculates an integer from it, and then using that integer we go into the set and grab that index. It would mean that the words would have to be randomized ahead of time, but we can do that offline and then store the dictionary randomized. But then we would have a command line that would say override, and it would play a game and not worry. It'll then pick a random word. At that point, it might pick a word you've already played. So I've been thinking about how to implement that with dates. So stay tuned for that. That may be something that we'll do. That was one of the bonus to-dos. Okay, so the game compiled. It's playing fine. I'm gonna guess T's. Look at that. Yeah. So that's good. So let's go and add that code in. Okay, so now we're going to do this thing, which is the command line argument. Now, let's look. I think we did this in the game, in the guessing game. No? Well, I missed this game. Yeah, there's no anything. So all programs, command line programs, have the ability to take a command line argument. So for example, here's the ls command, and if you press enter, it prints the files. But if you say ls-lt, that will list the files in timestamp order, and that -lt is it's a command line argument, and Swift has the ability to process these, which we're going to look up, because what we're going to do is add that in. Oh, brother. Okay, I don't see it here, but command line. I'm gonna put maybe developer.apple.com. just how did I do this? Because I had done this before. I'm just looking up the reference. And oh. Maybe here. That looks like it could be the library, but yeah, okay, good. Here we go. Command line. Command line arguments for the current process. And you can see this conforms to, that's actually, I believe, a protocol. So if I click on this, yeah, see, it's a protocol. So the keyword is conforms. So if a type conforms to a protocol, it means that it fulfills the contract in that protocol. You can, whatever this protocol is, sendable, command line class, it fulfills it. All we need is this. And I'm just curious. I like this. Very interesting. I'm going to bookmark this into my Swift bookmarks. Now we're going to play with this. So I'm going to go off screen, and what we're going to have is when I do Swift run, let's see, I think it's going to prompt me for something to run. And it's got only, I think, the 3 programs now, the 3 mock-up program, the 4 programs, the 3 mock-up programs and our program. So if I do Swift run Wordle CLI, I want to be able to say like -help. That -help was the argument. Now it doesn't do anything, but of course it also doesn't stop anything. What we're going to have is something that says line mode or LCurses, line mode or curses mode, and it'll call the right one. So I'm going to get to that now, and hopefully it'll be straightforward. You'll see. It's frustrating that this documentation on command line doesn't have anything that says, like, is it zero based? Does it include the command itself? I'm gonna go and search for command line in the forums just to see if I can find an example. Again, staying off of the larger websites. Wow, interesting. Interesting discussion on the history of namespace, of command line, but no example. But it is interesting. I'm going to save that away. Let me find. I guess in the end we can always run it and go through the debugger. I like this. This is exactly what we're looking for. And it looks like 1 is enough and 0 must be something else. So I think that's what I have here, 1. So let's run it. also, I looked through my Git history to find an example of the exit success, which is this thing here, and I used that here. And the other thing that was in my copy buffer was the disk that was on my Raspberry Pi, some 1 terabyte, but it turned out I think I had 300 gig for CentOS partition, which I no longer have that laptop, but I have the hard drive, so now I got to figure out how do I get to it, but that's a problem for another day. I will now try to run this program, and we'll actually end on this, I think. Let's see. Weird, I may no, it's okay. One of the things that's tricky about this is it's always initialized to curses mode unless you go to line mode, but this can be quote expensive, and it may also botch things up, but it won't if you don't call the draw program. So we could be good. Let's see when we pass in these arguments. So this worked. It changed it. Did I put taser? No, I didn't. Crowd. Douse. Get it now. See, Iadol? I don't know what that is. Okay, so now if I do line mode, it just occurred to me that with the environment variable puzzle word, that externalizes the word capturing. You don't need the dictionary in the Wordle game. You just pass it in as an environment variable. Maybe you're using it like Wordle is running in a container in Docker, and you deploy it out into your infrastructure, and you just pass in the puzzle word via an environment variable that updates every 24 hours. I could see somebody doing it that way. Be interesting to talk to the high-tech people at the New York Times to see exactly what they did. I'd be very interested in that. So here we go. So line mode does get invoked properly if I put in Iadol. Okay, good. So this change worked. Let's go put this into the code, and notice that if you don't put in one of those, then you're going to get a failure. So I'm going to put in help, and it should just fail immediately, even though help is a perfectly fine argument. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. It may be that it has to be lazily configured. I think what I'll do is this. God, this feels weird. Hang on. You know, right here. It's a little inverted to me, but I hope you can follow along. If the command line argument is 2, it's going to be either line mode or curses mode, or else it's a failure. If the command line argument is 1, nothing was passed in, and we're going to set it to, we're going to set gameView to be WordleCursesMode. And if it's not any of that, then we say no, that's fine. We want to start the game. Make sure I get this right here. Also get rid of this thing. Okay, let's run this now. This is the one that failed before. Passing in dash dash help. That should exit, and it should now exit cleanly back to my prompt without breaking my terminal. Let's see what this does. And it's a mess. How is that possible? Yeah, I may have to let me yeah, it's definitely falling through. So if I see. I'm using Wordle CLI help. Yeah, if the argument is 2, but if the argument count is 1, then you use this. Gosh, I thought I'd be able to do this quickly. Maybe that's just me being cocky. Yeah, I'm partially stumped. I've been staring at this for a while. Let me do the build. Let me look at that example too, because maybe he doesn't. Xcode only does the checks here. It does no kind of this does no checking. Yeah, so here it's definitely complaining. Yeah, I think my terminal. Let me start a new terminal. I think the reset of that terminal, I still see scratch marks from before. So let me do it again. I think everybody knows what I'm going for. If you pass in a command line, it's going to be either line mode or curses mode. If you don't pass in a command line, it's going to be curses mode. And yeah. Yeah, this is, I think I'm not saying this, I don't know anything about language design, but yeah, maybe it won't ever be initialized here. Maybe the compiler can tell that so let me just look at the gameView WordleCursesMode init. Yeah, see, in the init function of CursesMode, it does a term refresh and it does an initialization of Swift curses term. This we don't want that to happen. It almost would be interesting to defer that to the draw, but I don't want to change. Yeah, no, I'm convincing myself. I think no, I need it here. I need the Swift curses term here, and when I do Swift curses term and I look at its init here, new term, this may be okay to call. No, maybe not, because let's just look at it in the NCURSES manual. New term. The new term function. Nope, not in here. So I'm a little out of luck on that. I feel like I put myself into a corner. I don't understand how I got here. So the init is going to do all this because I don't want it to do any of that and ruin my terminal. Because the default should be curses. I think maybe I'll put the refresh in here. You do see that I need all these things, like the game title. It's all because I'm trying to figure out which one to use. I think, you know what? I think I just possibly figured it out. Or no choice, but I think I can do this. Close. And no, nothing in here. And then in WordleCursesMode, what does close look like? If I don't pass in anything, it's gonna do this. That's it. Any key to quit. Well, let me just try it. This feels harder. I'm gonna probably come up with a better way tomorrow. And I'm starting to feel discouraged, and I don't want to get to that discouraged state. It's already too late a little bit. Does it really want me to put in this here like this? No, it's missing an argument, so it wants an argument in there. You know what? That's what I could do, is just put in... No, but then it's going to do the anything. If I pass in a blank string, it will say any key to quit. I feel like I think maybe the best way is to do it this way, because I want curses to be the default, but I can at least initialize it here. If they say line mode, then we won't do anything. if they say curses mode will do something, and if it's not, let me look at this one, line mode. What does its close look like? Yeah, string with nothing. This is a hack, or it'll be confusing to the future programmer who reads this, and hopefully that'll be me when I'm retired, and I'll just look at the commit message and say, wow, Rick, you really programmed yourself into a pickle. This feels so wrong. Okay. We're taking advantage of the fact that the line mode has a has no terminal redraw stuff. So hopefully this fires up the curses version. Maybe I can just, the other thing is maybe I just initialize it to nil. That it's a variable, so I can initialize it to nil. And then just check it down here. So maybe that's the better way. So yeah, so that's good. Now if I say line mode, the line mode should fire up. Then if I say no good, it should give me the error. Yeah. Yeah, that's acceptable to me. I'm gonna now try this. This way, there will be an initialization of it. It's going to be nil. But I think one of the things about Swift is that it's not happy with nil. I think I would have to declare it with like a question mark. Yeah. Cannot. Yeah. See, I need add question mark for optional. It's definitely not optional. But I'd like to, yeah, see how the language is making me, the language is saying you can't start as nil. I mean, part of it is you can't blame the language. A programmer has to be smart. I have to be smart, but wow, I just, well, let's leave it to the old logic and, so this will produce the error, and I'll capture this into the Okay, everyone. I mean, part of it is I could just use a temporary variable here that 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 defined the like a string that was either curses or line mode, and then pass that down here into whatever, so that I don't have to do gameView up here and then fuss with it down here. But then I'm introducing a variable because I can't figure out the way around this. But we got through it. I got through it. I'll probably look at this and maybe I'll look at this in 10 years and laugh at the hilarity of it all. But so I think the next time I'm on, a couple of days from now, we'll go try to do this model. In the to-do, it looks like this. Oh yeah, we can clean this up a bit. So we have making a model. We can rethink the for guest counter loop. We can do something like this. Look at how small that while loop is, and we could even, like these little checks that I have as comments, we could make those be functions in the controller. The controller could be responsible for that as a call it a free floating function at the top level, but it is a controller. It's the thing controlling everything. So, and then we could maybe mess with the keyboard and maybe mess with the progress and state. But I'm already thinking ahead to what we'll do next with Swift. Something simple, but that will involve graphics. So I'm still percolating on it and learning some things offline. But I appreciate you being here to see this real-time programming endeavor, and I'll check everybody out the next time.